They noticed you before you noticed yourself. Read that again. They noticed you, not your clothes, not your money, not your followers, not your achievements, something else, something you cannot buy, something you cannot fake, something that becomes visible only after a person has survived what should have destroyed them. Your inner power. And the strange part is, you probably thought nobody was paying attention. You thought you were just living, working, struggling, fighting your private battles, waking up every morning and trying to keep moving. But there was something about you that kept appearing through the cracks. A strange calm, a strange intensity, a strange ability to disappear into silence and come back stronger. And if this were a story about an ancient secret society, this would be the moment when the oldest members of the room stopped talking, because they had seen thousands of people. They had watched people become rich. They had watched people become famous. They had watched people become powerful. But every once in a while, they encountered someone different, someone whose power did not come from status, someone whose confidence did not come from applause, someone who could lose everything and still rebuild, someone who could be rejected and still continue, someone who could be underestimated and use it as fuel, someone who could walk through darkness without allowing darkness to become their identity. That person was dangerous, not dangerous because they wanted to hurt anyone, dangerous because they could no longer be controlled by fear. And maybe that person is you. Now stop for a second. Think about your life. Think about the moments when people underestimated you. Think about the times they looked at you and saw weakness. Think about the times they thought your silence meant you had nothing to say. Think about the moments they believed your kindness meant you were easy to manipulate. They misunderstood you because they were looking at the surface. They never saw the machinery underneath. They never saw what was happening inside your mind. They never saw the discipline being built. They never saw the pain being converted into wisdom. They never saw the nights when you were completely alone and still decided to continue. That is where real power begins, not in a spotlight, in darkness. Anyone can look powerful when everyone is cheering. Anyone can appear confident when everything is going right. Anyone can smile when life is easy. But show me someone who can remain standing when nobody believes in them. Show me someone who can keep moving when the reward is invisible. Show me someone who can stay disciplined when there is no audience. That person has something rare, because they have learned the secret that most people never discover. Your greatest power is not what you can do when people are watching. It is what you are willing to do when nobody is. And that is why your story is different. You were never supposed to become powerful through comfort. Comfort was never going to teach you what struggle taught you. Rejection taught you, silence taught you, loneliness taught you, failure taught you, being misunderstood taught you, being underestimated taught you, and slowly, without realizing it, you develop something. A mind that doesn't collapse easily, a heart that doesn't surrender quickly, a presence that doesn't require permission. You started becoming difficult to break, and when someone becomes difficult to break, the world starts treating them differently. Not immediately. First, people test you. They test your boundaries. They test your patience. They test how much disrespect you will tolerate. They test whether your confidence is real. They test whether you will return to the old version of yourself. And this is where most people fail. They become strong for a week, disciplined for a month, focused for a season. Then someone says something. Someone rejects them. Someone insults them. Someone ignores them. And suddenly, the old version returns. But you are learning something different. You are learning how to remain yourself even when people try to pull you back into your old identity. That is power. Real power is not controlling other people. Real power is controlling yourself, your emotions, your attention, your reactions, your habits, your impulses, your time, your words, your silence. That is the kind of power nobody can take from you. And imagine a fictional secret society studying people like this. They wouldn't be interested in the loudest person. They wouldn't be impressed by someone constantly announcing how powerful they are. They would watch the quiet one, the one sitting in the corner, the one listening, the one observing. the one who doesn't need to dominate every conversation, the one who can walk away, the one who can say no, the one who doesn't need to prove their worth, because that person understands something most people don't. Attention is not power. Control over yourself is power. You can have thousands of people watching you and still be controlled by their opinions. Or you can have nobody watching you and be completely free. Which one do you want? Think carefully. Because most people say they want freedom, but what they really want is approval. They want everyone to agree with them. They want everyone to understand them. They want everyone to praise them. They want everyone to validate their choices. That is not freedom. That is dependence wearing expensive clothes. Freedom begins when you can make the right decision, even when nobody applauds. Freedom begins when you can walk away, even when someone wants you to stay. Freedom begins when you can say no, without writing a 10-minute explanation. Freedom begins when you can be misunderstood, without desperately trying to correct everyone. And that is where your inner power becomes visible. Because when you stop explaining yourself to everyone, your presence changes, your words become fewer, your decisions become sharper, your energy becomes more selective. You stop giving access to people who only come to drain you. You stop arguing with people committed to misunderstanding you. You stop chasing people who already decided to leave. You stop begging people to recognize your value. And suddenly, you become unpredictable. Not because you are playing games, because you stop playing theirs. That is the difference. There is a version of you that used to react. That version wanted everyone to understand. That version wanted everyone to stay. That version feared being alone. That version thought losing people meant losing value. But now you're beginning to understand. Losing someone does not automatically mean losing yourself. Sometimes losing people is how you find yourself. Sometimes silence is how you hear yourself again. Sometimes rejection is how you discover direction. Sometimes failure is how you learn what success actually requires. Sometimes the door that closed was never your door. And sometimes the person who walked away created the space you needed to grow. You have been interpreting certain events as punishment. Maybe they were preparation. Maybe that difficult season wasn't designed to destroy you. Maybe it was designed to introduce you to a version of yourself you had never met. The disciplined version, the focused version, the patient version. The version that doesn't need constant reassurance. The version that can sit alone without feeling abandoned. The version that can fail without calling themselves a failure. The version that can lose without becoming lost. That version is powerful. And it doesn't need a secret society to recognize it. But in our story, imagine that someone did. Imagine a room somewhere far away, a room where people spend their lives studying patterns, human behavior, ambition, fear, leadership, discipline. They have seen millions of people. They know how most people behave. They know what happens when people are rejected. They know what happens when people become successful. They know what happens when people are ignored. They know how quickly most people change when the audience disappears. But then they find you, and something doesn't fit. The prediction fails. You were expected to collapse. You didn't. You were expected to beg. You didn't. You were expected to become bitter. You didn't. You were expected to return to the person you used to be. You didn't. And that is what shocks them. Not your intelligence, not your appearance, not your talent, your resilience. Because resilience is difficult to measure. You can't put it on a resume. You can't buy it. You can't fake it for long. It is built through repetition. Every time life hits you, and you stand again. Every time disappointment arrives, and you keep moving. Every time fear appears, and you act anyway. Every time you are tempted to quit, and you continue. Another layer is added, another piece of armor, another lesson, another level, and one day, you look in the mirror and realize you are no longer the same person who once begged life to become easier. You became stronger instead. That is the transformation. You stopped asking, Why is this happening to me? And started asking, what can I build from this? That question changes everything. Pain becomes information, failure becomes feedback, rejection becomes redirection, criticism becomes data, loneliness becomes training, silence becomes strategy, and suddenly, the things that were supposed to destroy you start building you. That is what makes you rare. You don't waste pain, you convert it. You don't waste rejection, you learn from it. You don't waste time proving people wrong. You build something so undeniable that proof becomes unnecessary. This is where the Gokor mindset begins. Not chaos, not cruelty, not revenge. Control. The ability to smile while someone expects you to react. The ability to remain calm when someone tries to provoke you. The ability to leave when staying would cost your dignity. The ability to work when motivation disappears. The ability to keep your plans private. The ability to let your results arrive before your announcements. That is power. Quiet power. The kind that doesn't need a microphone. And maybe you have been feeling it recently. Maybe you don't enjoy certain conversations anymore. Maybe certain environments suddenly feel exhausting. Maybe things you used to tolerate now feel unacceptable. Maybe you don't want to explain yourself as much. Maybe you have become more selective about who gets your time. Maybe you have started enjoying your own company. Maybe you are becoming comfortable with silence. That is not necessarily you becoming cold. You may simply be becoming conscious. You are finally noticing what drains you. You are finally noticing what strengthens you. You are finally noticing which people respect you, and which people only respect your usefulness. That awareness is powerful, because once you see a pattern, you cannot unsee it. You start recognizing manipulation. You start recognizing fake concern. You start recognizing conditional affection. You start recognizing people who only appear when they need something, and instead of fighting them, you simply stop giving them access. That is maturity. You don't need revenge, you need distance. Revenge keeps you emotionally connected to the person who hurt you. Distance breaks the connection. Think about that. The ultimate victory over someone who wanted to control you is becoming emotionally unavailable to their behavior. They provoke you. You remain calm. They gossip. You remain focused. They underestimate you. You continue building. They expect you to chase. You don't. They expect you to explain. You don't. They expect the old version, and she is gone. He is gone. That version is gone. Not dead, transformed, and transformation is frightening to people who benefited from your old identity. They liked you when you were easier to predict. They liked you when you needed them. They liked you when you apologized for things that weren't your fault. They liked you when your boundaries were weak. But now, you have standards, and standards change relationships. Some people will leave. Let them. Some will complain. Let them. Some will call you selfish. Let them. Not everyone deserves access to the strongest version of you. Your energy is limited. Your attention is limited. Your life is limited. Spend it carefully. Imagine your attention as money. Would you throw money into a fire every day? Then why throw hours into pointless arguments? Why spend your mental energy on people who are committed to misunderstanding you? Why replay conversations that are already over? Why obsess over what someone might be thinking? Why stalk the lives of people who don't contribute to yours? Stop. Take your attention back. Because attention is one of the most valuable things you own. Whatever receives your attention grows. Give attention to fear. Fear grows. Give attention to comparison. Comparison grows. Give attention to discipline. Discipline grows. Give attention to your craft. Your craft grows. Give attention to your health. Your strength grows. Give attention to your purpose. Your life changes. So choose. What are you feeding? Because something inside you is always growing. The question is, what? And this is where the fictional society in our story becomes truly fascinated. They don't care about your current position. They care about your trajectory. Where are you going? Because someone with nothing today, but extraordinary discipline, can become unstoppable tomorrow. and someone with everything today, but no discipline, can lose it all. Your current circumstances are not your final identity. Your direction matters more. You may be broke today. You may be unknown today. You may be underestimated today. You may be starting from zero. Fine. Zero is not the end. Zero is a starting line. The person who starts with nothing and builds often develops something the person who inherited everything never learned. Resourcefulness, patience, hunger, discipline, gratitude, perspective. You learn how to create, and creators are dangerous because creators don't need permission. They make something from nothing. A business, a skill, a body, a channel, a career, a new identity, a new life. And maybe that is what you are doing right now, creating yourself, piece by piece, day by day, decision by decision. You don't need to transform overnight. You need to stop reversing your progress. That is the real battle. You make progress, then sabotage yourself. You become disciplined, then return to old habits. You become confident, then seek approval. You become focused, then get distracted. Stop. Your future self is watching every decision. Every time you choose discipline, you vote for that future. Every time you choose your purpose over distraction, you vote for that future. Every time you choose silence over pointless drama, you vote for that future. Every time you choose yourself without harming anyone, you vote for that future. And eventually, those votes become your identity. You don't wake up one day magically disciplined. You become disciplined through thousands of small decisions. You don't wake up one day confident. You become confident because you repeatedly prove to yourself that you can trust yourself. That is the secret. Self-trust. When you say you will do something, do it. When you promise yourself you will stop, stop. When you promise yourself you will start, start. When you say you will wake up, wake up. When you say you will train, train. When you say you will work, work. Every promise kept becomes evidence. Evidence creates self-trust. Self-trust creates confidence. Confidence creates presence. And presence is what people notice. That mysterious thing they cannot explain. The difference in your eyes, the difference in your voice, the difference in your posture, the difference in your patience. They don't know the formula, but you do. You built it. And the best part? You can build even more. You are not at your peak. Don't confuse progress with arrival. You have more levels, more discipline, more wisdom, more strength, more control, more creativity, more patience, more courage. There is a version of you that would shock the person you are today, not because they are famous, not because they are rich, not because everyone loves them, but because they finally stopped wasting their potential. That is the person you need to meet, and you meet them through action. Not wishing, not talking, not waiting, action. The world rewards movement. Move, even slowly, move, even imperfectly. Move. Because the moment you stop waiting for perfect conditions, you become dangerous to your excuses. There will never be perfect conditions. There will always be a reason to delay. You are tired. You don't have enough money. You don't know enough. Nobody supports you. You failed before. You might fail again. So what? Do it anyway. Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is movement despite fear. And the more you move despite fear, the smaller fear becomes. Until one day, fear is still there. But it doesn't make your decisions anymore. You do. That is inner power, not the absence of darkness. Control inside the darkness. Anyone can be calm when life is peaceful. Show me your mind when everything goes wrong. That is where your level is revealed. When plans fail, when people leave, when money disappears, when opportunities close, when criticism gets loud, when nobody believes you. What do? Do you collapse or do you adapt? Do you complain or do you learn? Do you blame or do you build? Your answer reveals your level. And if you have learned to build, then you possess something rare. Because builders don't need perfect circumstances. They use what they have. They start where they are. They learn as they go. They improve through repetition. They become better because they refuse to remain the same. That is why your inner power shocked the fictional observers in this story. They expected a predictable human being. Instead, they found someone evolving, and evolving people are difficult to categorize. Today you may be quiet. Tomorrow you may be bold. Today you may be learning. Tomorrow you may be leading. Today you may be unknown. Tomorrow you may be undeniable. Never let someone define your future based on your current chapter. They only know what they have seen. They don't know what you are building. And that is exactly why you should stop showing everyone. Let them underestimate you. Being underestimated is not always a disadvantage. Sometimes it is freedom. When people expect nothing from you, you can build without pressure. You can learn without judgment. You can fail privately. You can experiment. You can improve. Then one day, you reveal the result, not because you wanted revenge, because you were ready. There is a massive difference between revenge and results. Revenge says, "Watch me prove you wrong." Results say, "I don't need you to watch." That is freedom. Build for yourself, improve for yourself, become stronger for yourself. Not because someone insulted you, not because someone rejected you, not because someone left. Those things can be fuel, but they should not be your destination. Your destination is yourself, a better you, a stronger you, a wiser you, a calmer you, a more disciplined you. That is the mission. And if someone notices, fine. If nobody notices, fine. Your progress still counts. Because the most important person who needs to notice is you. You need to look at yourself 1 year from now and say, "I kept my word." That sentence is more powerful than applause, because you know what you promised yourself. You know how difficult it was. You know how many times you wanted to quit, and you kept going. That is victory, not likes, not comments, not followers, not compliments, self-respect. And once you have self-respect, you stop accepting everything. You stop tolerating disrespect just to avoid loneliness. You stop sacrificing your mental peace to keep people happy. You stop betraying yourself for temporary approval. You become selective, and selection is power. You choose who enters. You choose what stays. You choose what leaves. You choose what deserves your energy. You choose your response. You choose your direction. You choose your future. That is why nobody can truly control you unless you surrender control. They can criticize, they can gossip, they can lie, they can underestimate, they can leave, but they cannot decide who you become. That decision belongs to you, and perhaps that is the rare quality they noticed. Not that you are perfect, that you are self-directed. You have started becoming your own authority. You no longer need everyone to tell you what you are worth. You are learning to decide. You are learning to trust yourself. You are learning to listen to your instincts. You are learning to recognize when something feels wrong. You are learning to walk away, and every time you do, your inner power grows. So don't be afraid of becoming different. Different is sometimes the evidence of growth. You cannot become a new person while maintaining every old habit. Something has to change. Your schedule, your environment, your priorities, your conversations, your standards, your consumption, your discipline, your identity. And yes, some people will not recognize you. That's okay. They weren't supposed to. They knew the old version. You are becoming the new one. Let the old identity expire. You don't have to keep being who people remember. You are allowed to evolve. You are allowed to change your mind. You are allowed to become quieter. You are allowed to become stronger. You are allowed to outgrow environments. You are allowed to want more. You are allowed to start again. You are allowed to become someone your past self couldn't imagine. That is not betrayal. That is growth. And if a fictional secret society were watching your transformation, perhaps the final thing they would write about you would not be your talent. It would not be your appearance. It would not be your achievements. It would simply say, this person refused to remain predictable. That is rare, because most people repeat the same patterns, same thoughts, same habits, same excuses, same environments, same results. But you can interrupt the pattern today. One decision, one habit, one boundary, 1 hour, one action, and then another, and another, until your life starts looking different. Not because of magic, because of consistency. That is the real secret. There is no mysterious force coming to save you. There is no perfect moment. There is no hidden permission slip. There is you, your choices, your discipline, your courage, your ability to continue. That is enough, more than enough. So stop waiting for someone to recognize your power. Recognize it yourself. Stop waiting for someone to give you permission. Give yourself permission. Stop waiting for someone to believe in you. Believe through action. Stop waiting for the world to change. Change what you control. Your habits, your mind, your response, your direction, your standards, and then watch what happens. Slowly, your life begins to reflect your internal world. Your environment changes. Your relationships change, your opportunities change, your confidence changes, your presence changes, and people start noticing. They ask, what happened? Nothing mysterious happened. You simply stopped abandoning yourself. You finally decided that your life was worth protecting, your time was worth protecting, your peace was worth protecting, your future was worth protecting. And once you understand that, you become difficult to manipulate, difficult to distract, difficult to break, not invincible, human, but resilient. You can still hurt, you can still cry, you can still fail, you can still have bad days. Strength does not mean becoming emotionless. Strength means emotions do not own you. You feel them, you learn from them, then you continue. That is power. And if you remember nothing else from this message, remember this. Your greatest advantage may be the part of you that nobody sees yet, the discipline you are building, the knowledge you are collecting, the character you are developing, the confidence you are creating, the boundaries you are establishing, the person you are becoming. Do not reveal everything too early. Let the work mature. Let the transformation deepen. Let the results arrive. Because when you spend less time announcing, you have more time building. And when you spend more time building, eventually people have no choice but to notice. Not because you demanded attention, because the evidence became impossible to ignore. That is the kind of power worth having. Not power over people, power over yourself, power over your impulses, power over your fear, power over your distractions, power over your excuses, power over the version of you that keeps saying, I'll start tomorrow. I'll start today, quietly. No announcement, no performance, no need for applause. Just you and the work. And perhaps one day, someone will look at you and say, you're different. And you will smile, because you know you didn't become different overnight. You became different every time you chose discipline over comfort. Every time you chose peace over drama, every time you chose growth over revenge, every time you chose yourself over approval, every time you continued when quitting would have been easier. That is how inner power is built, silently, painfully, consistently. And once it is built, it becomes visible, in your eyes, in your voice, in your decisions, in your silence, in your presence. People may call it confidence, they may call it charisma, they may call it mystery, they may call it luck. Let them call it whatever they want. You know what it is. It is the person you became when nobody was watching. So walk into your next chapter without needing permission. Keep your plans quiet, keep your standards high, keep your mind sharp, keep your heart strong, keep your discipline ruthless, and keep moving. Because the person you are becoming does not need to be understood by everyone. They only need to be real. And if they underestimate you, let them. If they ignore you, let them. If they doubt you, let them. You have nothing to prove through words. Your life will speak. Your discipline will speak. Your results will speak. Your peace will speak. Your presence will speak. And when the time comes, you won't have to tell anyone that you changed. They will feel it. They will see it. They will wonder about it. And they may never understand exactly what happened. Good. Not every transformation needs an explanation. Some transformations are built in silence and revealed through presence. That is your advantage. That is your power. That is the rare thing inside you. And now, protect it, build it, strengthen it, because you haven't reached your final form. You're still becoming. And the most dangerous version of you is not the version that wants revenge. It is the version that no longer needs it. The version that has nothing to prove. The version that can walk away. The version that can remain silent. The version that can work alone. The version that can fail and start again. The version that can lose and rebuild. The version that can be misunderstood and still keep moving. That is the version they never saw coming. And that is the version you are becoming now.